इंडिया, वो देश जहां हर 100 किलोमीटर पे भाषा बदलती है। আমরা 22টি অফিশিয়াল ভাষায় কথা বলি আর হাজাरो अनऑफिशियल भाषातेओ, जिथे आपण एका भाषेत बोलतो आणि दुसऱ्या भाषेत विचार करतो। ನಮ್ಮ ವರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಭಾಷೆ ते एक ओ भाषा जिस नाल सानू अपनापन महसूस होवे। మనకు ఒక మాతృభాష ఇంకా మరొక భాష ఉంది। આપણે એક ભાષા સાથે વિકસી શકીએ અને વિકસીએ વધુ શીખવા માટે।
ताजमहलच्या बाबतीत सांगा।
तभी तो हमारे साइन बोर्ड्स पे भी ऑप्शंस होते हैं। আমাদের নিজের ভাষার মতো আর কোনো ভাষাই হয় না। ഞങ്ങൾ ചിരിക്കുന്നത് ഇങ്ങനെയാണ്। কিভাবে আমরা প্রকাশ করি? हम कैसे एक्सप्लोर करते हैं? ఎలా కనెక్ట్ అవుతాము? நாங்கள் இப்படித்தான் தேடிக்கிறோம்। पे करा, प्रवास, जानकारी लेते हैं, പഠിക്കുന്നത്। It's how we do everything we like in the language we love. Google, your internet in your languages. L10N, a Google for India event.
Suprabhat, Vanakkam, Sabbakhair, Namaskaram, and good morning everyone. I am Sanjay Gupta and I warmly welcome you to our L10N event today. Why L10N? Well, it is an abbreviation of localization where 10 is the number of letters between L and N. Localization is core to our mission of organizing the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And across the world, wherever we operate, the majority of our products are as useful in local languages as they are in English. But in India, this is a complex problem to solve. We have hundreds of languages, multiple dialects, and there is very little content available on the web in these languages. But this has not deterred us from committing to overcome this challenge. We've been investing in this effort for over a decade now, and we have taken a holistic approach to solve for consumption, communication, and creation. Even when India only had less than 100 million users online, Google search was accessible in at least 9 Indian languages. And over the years, we have worked hard to ensure that all our products are accessible and useful for the most popularly spoken Indian languages. We have come a long way in this journey. Today, an Indian language user can easily navigate their city effortlessly by using Google Maps in Marathi, Gujarati, or Tamil, or Telugu. Many are speaking to their Google Assistant in Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, Marathi, and 4 more Indian languages to search for news or get things done in their lives. And we are only getting better at understanding colloquialisms of local language speakers. With Gboard, the Google keyboard for your phone, we support over 60 Indian languages including Bhojpuri, Marwari, and even Tulu. Expanding the coverage for Indian languages on your mobile keyboards is critical as we prepare for the future of 1 billion smartphone users in India. To spur the growth of content creation in Indian languages online, we have been expanding support for more Indian languages across our ad platforms. Advertising in local languages online will not only unlock new business opportunities for publishers, but is critical to bring the benefits of digital advertising to smaller and local businesses, which is essential to the digital economy in India. In July, at our Google for India event, we outlined our vision to make the internet helpful for 1 billion Indians and power the growth of India's digital economy. We announced our plans to invest in digitizing India, but the vision of Digital India cannot be achieved without digitizing Bharat. India's digital transformation will be incomplete if the majority of Indians cannot use the internet to buy and sell online in their local languages, to find jobs online without having to worry about knowing English, to use net banking and digital payments, and to get access to information and apply for various government schemes online in their own languages. India is seeing a surge in internet usage from outside the big metro cities. In just the last 2 years, India has added over 100 million new internet users from rural India. Every new user coming online is an Indian language user. And we are committed to play our part. And for that, we are driving a 3-point strategy to contribute to and truly digitize India. The first is investing in ML and AI efforts to become better in language understanding at our research center in India and make these technological advances we have made accessible to everyone across the ecosystem. Next, to invest and deeply partner with innovative local startups who are building solutions to cater to the needs of Indians in local languages. And finally, to drastically improve the experience of our own products and services for Indian language users. Over the next 30 minutes, you will hear more about the progress we are making across these areas of focus. Today, we are committing ourselves and calling upon the entire industry to take a Bharat First approach and build an internet that works for every Indian. With that, I'm delighted to kick off the event with Pandu Nayak. Pandu is a Google Fellow who has been with Google for over 16 years and is one of the key architects of our ranking and evaluation systems. He now spearheads various aspects of search quality and language understanding in the context of search. A very warm welcome to you, Pandu.
Hello. Whenever I give a talk about Google search, I always find it useful to start with Google's mission: to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Core to our pursuit of this mission has always been a fundamental need to understand language. This means to understand the language of queries so we can determine what you might be looking for, and to understand the language of web content to match it to your queries. And of course, we have to do this in more than 150 languages to make information accessible to billions of people around the world. I've been at Google for 16 years now, focused on how to organize and rank information to provide the most relevant and highest quality information available. And while our ranking systems don't understand language the way humans do, we've made significant progress towards delivering helpful results no matter what language you speak or how you search. In the early years of Google, we were very focused on some of the fundamental issues of language understanding. We built systems to handle misspellings, and we developed techniques to handle synonyms that understood that words have different meanings in different contexts. Some of these systems took many years to scale out to work in all of the languages where Google is now available. But particularly over the past decade, advances in AI and machine learning are accelerating our ability to understand language. For example, last year we introduced a significant new breakthrough to Google search with BERT models, which improved our ability to understand natural language queries. Soon thereafter, we expanded to dozens of languages and saw particularly strong gains in languages like Hindi. This was a huge step forward in our ability to return relevant results and make information accessible through search. Many of these advances were about the written word. But language is not just written, it's also spoken. And our ability to understand spoken language through speech recognition is critical to making information accessible through a wide range of modalities. We've launched new techniques that combine image recognition and speech recognition to identify key moments in videos, helping people pinpoint the exact information they're looking for at just the right point. We've made a lot of improvements to our ability to understand new languages and dialects with the Google Assistant. And advances in machine learning have driven significant improvements to automated translation, including neural translation models. These achievements have enabled great quality gains in translations for over 100 languages, making information more accessible to people around the world. As you may have guessed, I grew up in India, and like most people there, I grew up in a multilingual environment. I spoke and studied English and Hindi. I spoke Konkani at home, and I picked up some Marathi from friends. I even studied Sanskrit in school. I've experienced firsthand what it's like to switch back and forth between languages, as many of you likely have as well. Across our teams at Google, we're keenly focused on how we can help people in India access information in this richly multilingual environment. Looking toward the future and how we continue to pursue our mission, there is so much opportunity for us to expand access to information in India with a continued focus on language. This includes programs that continue to grow the amount of content available in local languages and a continued investment in our language capabilities and tools that connect people with that information and help the web flourish with high quality and useful information for everyone. I'm thrilled to introduce my colleagues from our Bangalore engineering team who will shine a light on our latest strides in language understanding. Partha will share how we've created cutting-edge language understanding models using the power of AI and shared them with developers and startups. You'll hear from Nidhi on how we are helping people who are more comfortable using voice and images, especially for people who face challenges with literacy. And we'll start with Anand, who will tell us about the ways in which Google has got better at understanding that deceptively complex part of search, the written word.
வணக்கம், என்னோட பெயர் ஆனந்த் ரங்கராஜன். நான் கூகுள் பெங்களூரில் சர்ச் அண்ட் அசிஸ்டன்ட் பொறியியல் குழுவின் தலைமை தாங்குகிறேன். And I look forward to revealing some of the key features we are launching to help search work better in Indian languages. As Indians, many of us prefer consuming content and getting things done in the language we are most comfortable with, our mother tongue. But even today, language continues to be one of the biggest barriers for users to access information on the web, whether they are looking for a recipe or catching up on the latest news. Together with my team, we focus on helping make information universally accessible to users across Indian languages. Solving for Indian languages represents many challenges. From the complexity and variation of scripts, from Urdu to Malayalam to Gujarati, to the sheer number of languages across the country. Many Indians are bilingual or trilingual, and they often change their language preferences based on use cases and situations. And most Indian users set up their devices in English, even if they want to consume information and content in a different language, something that isn't often seen in other countries. Also, there is a general lack of local language content available on the web. At Google, we have been focusing on this space for the better part of the last 10 years. Whether it is reading a web story out loud, helping people translate between languages, or enabling them to speak to their phone in their preferred local language. For example, to help address the lack of local language web content, we introduced a technology called Neural Machine Translation into Google Chrome 3 years ago. This enabled millions of Indian language speakers to access web content in 11 Indian languages by translating it from English directly in the browser. And we have seen results. Over the last year itself, people across India have used translate features over 17 billion times to translate web pages into Indian languages. In 2019, we rolled out a bilingual experience on Google Discover, the feed of stories you see in the Google app. Users were able to proactively find content in English and 11 Indian languages, regardless of their default device language. This has also helped drive more traffic to Indian language publishers. And lastly, in June 2016, we made it easier for users in states with a significant Hindi-speaking population to flip between English and Hindi results for a search query. By introducing a simple chip or tab, we offered the ability to see results in their preferred language. More recently, we have made our biggest quality improvement in several Indian languages. By fundamentally improving our language understanding of search queries, we have improved Indian language spell correction and extended it to 5 additional languages, and now have a better understanding of synonyms for Indian languages. But our work is certainly not done. And so I'm very happy to announce 3 new language features. The first represents a big change in what happens when a user types a search query written using English characters, but it is actually a local language question. Typing in an Indian language in its native script is typically more difficult and can often take thrice as long compared to English. As a result, many users would search in English even if they really prefer to see results in the local language they understand. This behavior resulted in our systems detecting an English query and offering English language results where, in effect, they would have been better served with results in their local language. And so, over the next month, search will now show relevant content in supported Indian languages where appropriate, even if the local language query is typed using Roman characters. As you can see on the screen here, this feature proactively surfaces high-quality, relevant content in an Indian language where appropriate, even if the query is typed in English. This functionality will also better serve bilingual users who feel comfortable reading both English and an Indian language. Next, we are making it easier for users to toggle results between English and 4 more Indian languages: Tamil, Telugu, Bangla, and Marathi. I'm excited to find my favorite content in Tamil, and based on the results we saw in Hindi, I'm sure many users will be able to find more quality local language content by simply tapping a tab. We know that people use different languages for different tasks. For example, I use English for the most part, but I find myself querying in Tamil and Hindi when looking for entertainment and news. Tamil is my native language, and I sometimes change an app's user interface language to it, like when I'm teaching my daughter something in Tamil. Rather than guessing what language a user prefers, we launched the ability to easily change the language of Google Assistant and Discover to be different from their phone language. Enabling people to use their apps in the language of their choice is important, as many often select a specific language for a particular situation or usage. And so today, we are extending this ability to Google Maps, where users can quickly and easily change their Maps experience into one of 9 Indian languages. Users will be able to change the language by simply opening their app, going to Settings, and tapping App Language. Once a user changes their Maps language, they can search for places, get directions and navigation, and interact with the map in their preferred local language. I hope this has given you a sense of the distance we have traveled and the journey that lies ahead in our language efforts in India. I'm looking forward to all the work we'll continue to do to make the world's information even more accessible in a language of each person's choice. And with that, I would like to hand over to Partha, who will talk to you about an exciting new breakthrough for Indian languages. Thank you.
ধন্যবাদ আনন্দ। নমস্কাৰ, মোৰ নাম পাৰ্থ তালুকদাৰ আৰু মই গুগল ৰিচাৰ্চ ইণ্ডিয়াত এজন ৰিচাৰ্চ সাইণ্টিষ্ট। At Google Research India, we spend a large part of our time working on fundamental research aimed at advancing the field of AI to help improve not just our own products, but to provide cutting-edge solutions that are freely available for the ecosystem to use as well. I specifically work on helping computer systems understand human language by developing machine learning-based solutions in the field of natural language understanding, or NLU. You will see this in action when using Google Translate to convert a web page from English to a local Indian language, or when Gboard on your smartphone guesses the next word you might want to type, or when your smartphone can translate a street sign from one language to another simply by pointing its camera and using Google Lens. None of these seemingly magical capabilities would have been possible were it not for the strides made in machine learning and natural language understanding. But as you will imagine, teaching a computer to understand human language, especially the intent and meaning of what's being conveyed, can be quite an exciting challenge. First, a quick bit of history on how this field evolved. Natural language processing dates all the way back to the 1950s. The field started with rule-based symbolic systems, then moved to more statistical and learning techniques, and finally to deep learning-based neural systems. Traditionally, researchers build separate models for each language task pair. Take the process of understanding the sentiment of a sentence, like whether it is conveying a positive or negative message. We call this sentiment classification. Initially, to crack this challenge, we needed to build one model for Hindi and a separate model for Tamil or any other language. As you can imagine, such language-specific modeling for each and every task is not resource efficient, as we often don't have enough training data for most tasks like this. There are well over 1,000 spoken languages in India, with 22 of these being constitutionally recognized. Indian languages have their own complexity and diversity of scripts and writing styles. Also, the inherent multilingual nature of Indian society requires spatial focus. Therefore, solving for Indian languages while addressing both coverage and quality is the need of the hour. The approach we have been pursuing to address this challenge over the past year is called Multilingual Representations for Indian Languages, or MURAL in short. So what is MURAL? While this sounds like something that is painted on a wall, MURAL is the name of a powerful new multilingual model developed at Google India. It is specifically aimed at Indian languages and is far more efficient at handling challenges like transliterations, spelling variations, mixed languages, and other usages so often observed in the Indian context. Recent advances in the field of multilingual representation learning, which refers to a single model that is capable of processing multiple languages, has made it possible to transfer knowledge and training from one language to another, overcoming some of the hurdles outlined above, and enabling us to quickly apply learnings from one language to an altogether different one. MURAL is an instance of such a multilingual model, and it currently supports 16 Indian languages as well as English, the highest coverage for Indian languages among any other publicly available model of its kind. So why is this a big deal? MURAL's exclusive focus on Indian languages makes it possible to more efficiently make use of the model's capacity, resulting in a direct performance improvement. It also provides support for transliterated text, such as when writing Hindi using Roman script. This capability was missing from previous models of its kind. Results on our testing of the MURAL model in action have been very encouraging. On academic benchmark datasets, MURAL significantly outperforms the earlier model by 10% on native text, and by 27% on transliterated text. Here are a few examples of language understanding in Mural, which would stump previous Indian language models. For example, the sentiment of the sentence "Acha hua account band nahi hua" would previously be interpreted as having a negative meaning, but Mural correctly identifies this as a positive statement. Or the ability to classify a person versus a place. For example, Shirdi ke Sai Baba would previously be interpreted as a place, which is wrong. Mural correctly interprets as a person. Another example is of answering a question, Arunachal ka mukhya anaj udyog kya hai, would previously return the answer Aramil, which is wrong, but Mural correctly returns chawal. And so, for detecting sentiment or classification, or even with questions and answers, Mural results in more accurate language responses than before. We are thrilled to announce that we have made Mural open source, where it is currently available for download and use from the TensorFlow Hub for free. Mural is a starting point of what we believe can be the next big evolution for Indian language understanding. We hope it will prove to be a better foundation for researchers, students, startups, and anyone else interested in building Indian language technologies. And we can't wait to see the many ways the ecosystem puts it to use. And with that, I would like to hand it over to my colleague Nidhi, who will talk about exciting developments in our language work as it applies to voice and images. Thank you, and over to you, Nidhi.
Thank you, Partha. It's exciting to have a language model that is custom built for Indian languages. नमस्ते, मेरा नाम निधि है. मैं Google Assistant के लिए सीनियर प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर हूँ. हम चाहते हैं कि हर भारतीय Google Assistant को अपनी भाषा में इस्तेमाल कर सके. I'd like to start by taking a quick step back and talk about the importance of voice. In the context of languages, the spoken word is so important. From cities to villages across the country, we have so many different language speakers for whom voice is the most natural way to interact. You'll also probably be aware that many of India's new internet users are voice first, especially since many have challenges with literacy. When their first encounter with the web is via their smartphone, it's only natural they use voice to find information and get things done. And that's why we feel a deep responsibility to get it right for these users. With the Google Assistant, we have been committed to helping people find answers, seek information, and get things done in their world using their voice. We launched Hindi for Google Assistant in March 2018 and have made it available in 8 additional Indian languages since then. In fact, Hindi is the second most used language on Google Assistant globally after English. Today, 1/3 of Google Assistant users prefer using the Assistant in one of the 9 Indian languages it is available in. We also made it easy for users to tell us which language they prefer to use Google Assistant in. This year, we rolled out the ability for users in India to easily pick their preferred local language by simply tapping on a card. It has also been over a year since we announced the ability for users to quickly switch from their preferred assistant language by simply asking, for example, by saying, "Okay Google, Hindi bolo." And we are seeing the results. Since the launch of Assistant Language Picker, queries in Indian languages have doubled. But the language is also more than text and voice. So often it is visual as well. From street signs to restaurant menus, shop names to signboards, Google Lens lets you search what you see, get things done faster, and understand the world around you using just your camera or a photo. With Google Lens, you can quickly identify objects, learn more about them, translate text, shop, and much more. Google Lens is now able to recognize 15 billion things in over 100 languages. In India, Google Lens already supports 9 local languages. We are proud to share that more people use Google Lens in India every month than in any other country worldwide. It is so gratifying to see people experience the moment when English text from the real world transforms, almost like magic, into a local language they understand. It is a simple yet powerful ability, and it truly exemplifies the potential of technology to make a positive difference in people's lives. With language understanding, while we remain committed to extending it to new languages, we also relentlessly chase higher levels of quality for each of these languages. One common challenge is that we in India often used mixed languages. For example, a blend of Hindi with English or Gujarati and English. We have been hard at work to develop single models for mixed languages like English and Hindi. This is a challenge because of low availability of training data. It is also hard because many people have their phone interface set to English but are actually speaking in a language different than English. Building mixed language understanding is therefore key to understanding what the user is asking, irrespective of language settings of their phone. We are making significant advancements in assistant voice understanding with Indian languages, with more evolved speech recognition models and improved query understanding, especially when users speak colloquial words or have mixed language queries. For example, when a Hindi speaker asks their Google Assistant, Tamil Nadu ki capital city batao, we can process the mixed languages in this sentence and correctly offer the answer, which is Chennai in this case. People are using Lens to not just translate street signs and local language documents, but to learn about the world, especially students. For example, on a recent family trek, my son tracked a bunch of different insects and used Lens to identify and learn more about them along the way. Apart from identifying things in the real world, Lens is used extensively to translate words in India. Lens users have translated more than 3 billion words in 2020 alone. And if you're a parent, you'll also be accustomed to your kids asking you questions about homework, about stuff you never thought you'd need to remember, like quadratic equations. Now, from the search bar in the Google app, you can use Lens to snap a photo of a math problem and learn how to solve it on your own in English or Hindi. To do this, Lens first turns an image of a homework question into a query. Based on the query, we show a step-by-step guide and videos to help explain the problem. What I wouldn't give to have this when I was in school. Working on language has always been so gratifying for me and my team, especially given its immense potential to touch the lives of millions of users across the country who would otherwise be challenged with equitable access to information. Our work here will never be complete, but that's exactly what motivates us. Thank you. And with that, I'll hand it back to Pandu.
I hope that's given you a sense for how important understanding Indian languages is for Google. And I can't think of a more exciting mission to work on, helping unlock the vast potential of the ecosystem of Indian publishers, developers, and startups, and to make a positive impact on the lives of millions of Indian language speakers across the country. Thank you and have a wonderful day.